I'm Nate Wood. I was asked to talk about a couple of things that I work on that I wanted to share. I thought about some different ways in which I practice to keep things interesting for myself and musical in such a way that I'm improving and also stay inspired. And also ways that I think help translate to playing better with other people, which is really hard to do, I think, when you're practicing by yourself all the time, which everybody is. We get into a tendency of kind of locking into our own zone of things that we're working on, and we have a hard time kind of, opening up and listening to what's around us. I think I want to recommend Wayne Krantz's sound advice video because I thought that was a great video about listening, which he was talking about listening on the bandstand, but this will be kind of more about how to listen when you're making music by yourself a little bit, which, it's kind of the same thing. So one of the techniques that I use is when I'm practicing with a metronome. I basically never practice with the metronome on downbeats anymore. So I have the metronome going, I think it's at 87 BPM right now. And if we were practicing, if I were to play with it in a standard method, it would be like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the way that I like to practice with it is on the uhs of the beat. So I think of the metronome as the uhs. So a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1. And what this does is, to me, it makes it so that you really have to be listening to the metronome all the time. It gives you something to play to that feels a little more interactive, as opposed to just on the downbeat every time. I think with practicing with the metronome on the downbeat, there's a lot of room for error, and you don't really know why something isn't working. But when you have the metronome on the uhs, or you can also do the ands too, automatically each limb has to be more correct, or the whole thing sounds clearly not good. So here's an example of playing on the metronome versus playing off the metronome as uhs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, a lot of room for error with that kind of practicing, but of course if you go into the studio and you play to a click track, that's what it's going to be. When I'm practicing, I like to do it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so much harder. But also when it's right, it feels like you're playing with a percussionist or something, as opposed to playing to a heartless, cruel computer that doesn't care what you think. This also doesn't care what you think, but in a more encouraging way, I think. So let's add to that. Another way that I like to keep things interesting is usually when I'm improvising or practicing, working on my time or working on soloing or whatever, and I have the metronome going, or I don't have the metronome going, I like to have some kind of ostinato going in my head, like a bass line or something. It gives me something to play to, and it gives me basically something to play off of, as opposed to just improvising out of thin air. It gives like an anchor point. And I find it much easier to make things sound musical with that. So let's play at that same tempo. 2, 3, 4. I'm going to write a bass line right now. 4. Dun, 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 ba, boom, boom, dun, 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 ba, boom, 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 ba, ba, boom, ba, boom, 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 ba, ba, boom, ba, boom, 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 ba, ba, boom, ba, one. So that's a bass line. I'll overdub it later, and so you can hear sort of what I was thinking. So I'm gonna practice with that in my head and see if you can hear, how I'm thinking of that. 1, 2, 3. There you have it. Another technique that I like to use if I feel like I'm in a rut or something is I like to work on switching limbs. So leading with my left hand instead of my right. I'm a right hand lead player. This is something that Jim Keltner talked about. I remember him saying something like, if you want to work on making your groove sound bigger,
Lead with your other limb.
Similarly, I know Dennis Chambers can do everything, with a left hand lead, and I think what that does is it just makes both sides of your body stronger and more in tune with each other. So here's a way that I'll practice that same idea, same bass line, and then I'll just show some ways in which I do it. So you can kind of hear how what I'm trying to do is basically semi-mirror what I'm doing with right hand lead with left hand lead. So I'll start kind of an improvisation and then I'll try to duplicate the same or a similar improvisation with the other hand. It's super hard and you can hear me kind of working through it and not nailing it, but that's what's fun about it. Another more extreme version of that, getting outside of your comfort zone, is practicing the same thing with just one hand as opposed to two hands. So let's do that as an exercise now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because of my work that I do with my project called Four, where I'm playing multiple instruments at the same time, a lot of times I'm relegated to playing drums with only one hand, and that can be either the right hand or the left hand. And why should you care? The reason that you should care is because I've noticed that since I've been doing that project, I feel like each hand has more of its own brain than it used to. Actually, each limb. I feel like I can come up with things that are a little more outside of the box than what I used to play because of just a greater independence, I think. So, but I think this method of kind of restricting yourself or limiting yourself or changing the way that you normally play your instrument can kind of apply to any instrument. So maybe I'll do a little bit of playing now with all of those things, and then have the bass line in there too. 1, 2.